Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is one of 7 fantasy novels by Joanne Kathleen Rowling set in a magical world. Since I realize that many of you probably like or even love the world of Harry Potter, today I decided that we will delve a bit into the world of these magical creatures, and I will show you an animal that was featured in the film adaptation of the 4th part, that is, the Goblet of Fire. Throughout the Harry Potter series, various strange spider-like creatures appear in different places. One of the most famous is Aragog, the Acromantula spider who was Hagrid's pet and, sadly, spoiler, died of natural causes as an adult. Honestly, it was one of the few movie moments that made me cry. Nevertheless, today we won't be talking about acromantulas, but we'll focus on a certain creature that was shown in the 4th part of the movie for just a moment. This creature is interesting because most people watching that scene probably thought, "That's disgusting, thank goodness such creatures don't exist." And here, the answer to the question of whether such creatures are real is a bit complicated because the specimen used in the movie is fully rendered, meaning it's simply made out of pixels and that particular specimen doesn't exist. But does that mean its counterparts don't exist in the real world? Well, the answer to that is very simple. They really do exist. Yes, my friends, in today's video we'll take a look at these interesting little creatures, of which there are currently 5 on my hand. And these are the creatures that are living beings, they really exist, and these arachnids, because they are arachnids, were actually used as the prototype for the movie creature. Interestingly, in the original 4th part, and I'm talking about the book in English, it's clearly written that Moody, or actually not Moody, but I don't want to spoil for you who was teaching defense against the dark arts and wanted to demonstrate the so-called unforgivable curses, was showing them on spiders. However, the creators of the 4th movie decided that spiders aren't really that scary, so they chose something even scarier, something that looks even more amazing and out of this world. And that's exactly what they chose. And now you're going to ask me, what the heck is that? What I have on my hands here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, these are small, still young specimens. They will grow bigger, the pace of the abdomen bearers. Tailless whip scorpions, or Amblypygids, are an arachnid order with just over 260 species worldwide, so not many. They are found mainly in subtropical and tropical regions of the world, but interestingly, we can also find representatives of this order in Europe. For example, in Greece or Italy, we have the genus Harmless, which are true Amblypygids, and they occur there naturally. And now, here's a fun fact. The creators could have used a spider, even a big spider like the one I have here. This is Theraphosa stami. You know, it's like this. You met it in one of the previous videos. They could have used spiders that are big, venomous, hairy, and terrifying, but they chose these creatures which, okay, might be even more terrifying for some people. But the fact is that these Amblypygids, specifically in this case Euphorhynchus basilifer, a species of Amblypygids that doesn't have a Polish name but is one of the most popular and commonly kept species of whip spiders. And they used a whip spider even though these animals are absolutely harmless. This is one of the main questions I get when someone asks about what appeared in the Goblet of Fire. Is it dangerous or venomous? No, it's neither deadly nor dangerous. These little creatures can't do anything to me except for a slight pinch, because I remind you, these are actually small specimens and their grip is really weak. Honestly, they can't really do anything to me here. But other Amblypygids can actually grow to a bit larger sizes, because the Euphorhynchus species are rather small creatures, while Amblypygids themselves can reach about 16 or even 17 centimeters in leg span. So that's quite a lot, and an Amblypygid like the one I have now on my left hand could give me a pretty good pinch, even though it still wouldn't inject any venom or poison because they don't have venom glands. Both these and those creatures are beautiful to me, terrifying to others, and completely harmless. They live in tropical regions on various continents. They are found in South America, Africa, Asia, and more. And as I already mentioned, they are arachnids, which means they are also built like arachnids. So we have a body divided into 2 main parts. If I were a professional, I would say it's the prosoma and opistosoma, but I'm not a professional, just an enthusiast, so I'll say prosoma and abdomen. In whip scorpions, the abdomen is segmented, quite short and does not have the characteristic whip, which is present, for example, e.g. in whip spiders. Additionally, as is typical for arachnids, they should have a total of 6 pairs of legs. Yes, that's right, 6 pairs, so 12 total, that's correct. If we take a closer look, Amblypygids have 3 pairs of walking legs, or actually 4. It's just that the first pair has evolved into these very long whip-like appendages. And these appendages are very delicate, very long, much longer than the animal's own body, and they use them to explore their surroundings. They're like probes that let the underbark dweller know, okay, it's safe here, or there's prey here, I need to attack here, or I don't need to attack here. They're full of receptors, helping them explore their environment. We have 3 pairs of walking legs, whisker-like appendages, and pedipalps. Pedipalps have various roles across arachnid species. In scorpions, they're pincers. In spiders, they're the small front legs. Meanwhile, in whip scorpions, they take the form of sideways spread, pincer-like or claw-like appendages, which are covered with spines, and in some species, they are very, very long. These are what allow them to catch their prey. The 6th pair, the calychrae, in whip scorpions appear as 2 small bumps ending in a tiny claw. That's where they grind up prey and suck it out, right? That's how it works. And I'm showing you these whip scorpions for a reason. Obviously, the main goal of this episode is to explain what that thing from Harry Potter was. However, they have a cool feature that I really like, namely you can keep them in groups. And that's why there are 5 of them here that haven't eaten each other. And these 5 were once at my exotic animal exhibition, oh my god, in Roswaf. However, I made a little swap and put a big Theraphosa with them. And now these 5 will live with me. And I'd like to let them into the terrarium. And the terrarium, if someone would like to keep, I don't know, maybe someone will want to, these kinds of creatures, it's not really problematic, but the terrarium has to be quite specific. These animals are very secretive, so it's best to give them lots of hiding places. Secondly, they, like all arachnids, molt. However, the molting of Amblypygids, which, by the way, is an amazing process, happens in such a way that they molt gravitationally, meaning they hang onto a piece of bark or any other surface, or a wall in a cave, and simply slide out of their old exoskeleton. And for this to happen, we need to provide them with a lot of vertical space. So the terrarium should be vertical with slanted walls, so they can climb and molt without any problems. And the last interesting fact is that Amblypygids are fantastic parents, meaning the females are fantastic parents, while the males, as you know, do their part and then run away. And when the female is fertilized and lays eggs into a special pouch located under her abdomen, nymphs hatch from those eggs. And these nymphs, for some time until their first molt, travel on the female, and the female simply takes care of them there. And this is important because if any nymph falls off the female, its chances of survival practically drop to 0. So the female has to take care of the little ones, the Amblypygids, and only after the first molt do the young come down and start living on their own and hunting on their own, because let me remind you, they are predators, right? Their diet consists mainly of small invertebrates, but despite this, there are observations that some Amblypygids can also feed on small vertebrates, although this is extremely rare and generally just doesn't happen. And here, insects make up the majority of their diet. That's it for today's episode. Let me know if you would like to keep these little creatures at home yourself, because honestly, apart from the fact that they tickle a bit, they are absolutely harmless. See you next video. Bye.